Morning, Bill.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Still a little cold out there, but I'm warm inside.
Yeah, it's nice to have it warm up a little bit.
Yeah,
Definitely needed.
I'll say. Did you have any frozen pipes or anything?
No, my daughter in Draper did. My son up here had some issues.
Oh,
But
boy.
my wife said that I was having an anxiety attack because I was up in the middle of the nights checking everything and turning the furnace up.
Good for you.
I've had flooded basements.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, all is well. Yeah, we turned the heat up downstairs and our furnace upstairs, I think the pilot light went out or something. We got to get that fixed, but we just hunkered down.
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa.
Oops, now I've been, okay.
Now we can hear you.
Now we can, okay, there we go. Having some furnace troubles, is that what you were saying?
Oh, I was just telling Bill, yeah, we got two furnaces and one's upstairs for the bedrooms and everything, but I think it started to blow cold air. And so we're just assuming the pilot light went out. So we just turned it off and we turned the one downstairs up and that kind of, heat rises. And so it kind of warms the whole house.
There you go, there you go.
But no frozen pipes or anything. So we're good.
Oh, that's good, that's good. Yeah, I read the Gray Whale, if you guys remember or ever went to the Gray Whale, it was a CD store up by the U. It sounds like their pipes broke.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some flooding.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, I was really interested. I'm on the Sandy alerts.
Yeah, me too.
And so I thought it was very a great idea that the Public Works sent out that alert to leave your, to just, common sense that those of us who have lived a while kind of know to, but I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got mold up to the ankles, so we remember.
There you go. I invited Lieutenant Kate and Captain James from Salvation Army, if they were willing to take on the Region 2 Vice President co-lead together. And I asked them I invited them to this meeting if they wanted to come and see. And so they might join us. I don't know.
Great.
Hey, Sheila.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sheila.
Hey, how do you get a fuzzy behind? Is that something you have to do in your own Zoom?
If you go down to the bottom of the camera where the little there's an arrow that points up.
Yeah.
And in that arrow, it says blur my background.
Wow.
Mine doesn't. Mine says choose a virtual background, choose a video filter, but I don't see a blur.
Huh.
I've got a blur. Yeah.
Huh. Well, there you go. Well, thanks.
I wake up with a fuzzy background most of the time.
I'm gonna go. Let's see if I'm gonna try. I'm trying to go to San Francisco, but it's not working for me. Okay, there we go. Oh, James, Captain James, you made it.
Yes, I am here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And this is our Utah State VOAD Executive Leadership Team. And see what you think. And we would love for you and Lieutenant Kate to consider being our Region 2 vice presidents. We don't call them chairs, we call them vice presidents now. And either one of you or both of you together. But yeah, we can chat after the meeting and you can let me know what you think.
I could do that. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. And hi, Trevor. I see Trevor, Captain James, Bill, Sheila, Ken, and me. Does that look like that everybody is here?
Yes, for now.
Okay. Awesome.
Morning.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start our meeting. I did get the agenda sent out late last night. Took me a little bit of a day to get it done, but hopefully you got it. But I'm going to try and just follow that. And so first item is Sheila, I will get you by end of today, I'll get you the agenda for the general meeting. And then again, just as you've done in the past, if you can get it out on Friday and next Wednesday, which is the 8th, just for reminders.
Okay,
And then Wayne is not on this meeting, but I'll send him a text afterward, just for him to get that general link set up and get to you as well. And then I have a follow-up with the state. I had been talking with Mike Moon before the break about some language in the annex that the state was rewriting. And it sounds like either Mike or Greg were working on that, Greg Bates. So I just need to circle back with them. Mike made it sound like the new state EOP would address some of the language that we were verbiage that we were talking about, the Utah VOAD may rather than Utah VOAD will, things like that. I'm going to check with the Utah National Guard. I had crossed paths with Colonel Eric Wiedmeyer a couple months back, and he had talked about the Guard doing a big exercise and VOAD possibly being there as one of the participants. So I will circle back with him and see if that is a possibility that we could have Region 2 and Region 3 of Utah VOAD participating in that. And then
what, do you have a date on that?
I think
Lisa?
it was May, but I didn't have any specific dates. I just
Okay.
remember him saying it was possibly May.
All right,
So I'll let you know when I talk to Colonel Wiedmeyer, and then our current Utah VOAD leadership team has been an amazing group of people, and I think we have done amazing work. But we do need to consider nominating some new officers coming up. We will need to have elections in June. New officers will take over in July for the next 2 years, July 23 to 25. So do I need to put together a nominating committee? Do we just do it here as an executive leadership team? What do you all think?
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah,
So
just
should I-
leave the current executive team on and we'll all be good.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
go back to your bylaws, because your bylaws will tell you whether you have to elect or which positions you have to elect. Should be in your bylaws.
Okay, I will do that. I will do that. I know in the past, our executive vice presidents had stepped into that role. I thought maybe I would ask Wayne if he would be interested in being nominated for president. Wayne Robbins, who's been serving as our executive vice president, but David Cannon has been serving through my term and Richard Linford's term and Ed Blake's term, and he would really like us to find a new treasurer. So, oh, you're here, David. Awesome. Yes, David has done an amazing job, but he feels that it's time for someone else to fill that role. So so these are, if you can think of anyone that we can nominate, just be thinking of that. Treasurer, executive secretary, executive vice president. If Wayne's willing to serve as, be nominated as president and serve in president and still be our IT guy, that would be awesome. Someone who comes to mind for me for a possible vice president would be Russ Harmon with Southern Baptists, and maybe his wife. Is it Clara? Ken?
Yeah, it's Clara.
Clara? Yeah, and maybe Clara
Holman.
would
It's
be
H.
willing.
Holman, yeah.
Holman,
Yeah, Holman.
Clara Holman, yeah.
Yeah, would be willing to be secretary. So I'm just, if we can just start throwing some names out there and start nominating people and yeah, just something to think about.
Sheila, do you want to go on continue on as secretary, or are you done?
You know what, Joyva, I am done. I've just moving has just created a whole nother game for me, so.
Gotcha.
Well, and we appreciate I appreciate you, Sheila, staying on because yeah, couldn't do it without you. And I think we've got a super awesome, great team. But I think I've been doing this I've been in leadership roles for 6 years. So I think I'm done, and I think David's done. And I think if anyone wants to continue on, like Bill, if you want to continue on as Vice President, Region 1, or do you think Bonnie would be willing to step up into that role? So these are just things that we can.
I can't hear you.
Oh, Bill. Anyways, things to think about. Ken, do you have a thought?
Just a thought. In the past, at least, the president and vice president need to be associated with a voluntary organization active in disaster. The secretary, however, could be like an emergency manager or something like that. That's what's been in the past. So if we've got somebody in that capacity, not associated with a voluntary organization, but who is still on our team, he'd be, or she would be eligible to be the secretary.
Okay, awesome. Good to know. Good to know. All right, excellent. And then the next item I have is volunteer hours tracking, Vision Link and whatnot. I think I will circle back to this. I think we'll go through our agenda and then circle back. I just got an email from somebody from Vision Link, and we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. National VOAD conference is May 8th through the 11th, and I would like to go as the president of Utah State VOAD, but I'm in the quandary of last year, same situation where it was the UEMA conference. My organization, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, does not pay for their volunteers to go to National VOAD or any other. So I have nobody to pay for me. So I wanted to check with you all if you are good with using like the grant I got from the health department, because I think we still have a substantial part of that. To get me back to that, I know Joeva is going back, and Joeva has booked some rooms for us, and so it would be hotel, airfare, and then I'm going to check with National VOAD. Last year they had a scholarship for state VOAD presidents to cover the cost of the conference. So I'm going to check to see if that's still available, that I could get that cost covered. What do you all say?
I'm in favor.
Oh, go ahead.
As the state val, I think that there should be something in our bylaws that says that we always send the president back to the National VOAD. And we
Well,
provide.
I love that, but yeah, but we have to pay for it.
I know it, but we ought to, incorporate that somehow. Anyway, you're certainly, high on my list as far as that recommendation. That's good.
I agree.
I'm
Yes.
already set to go. The division has already got my ticket, and I'm set to go.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I will pursue that. Carrie, are you on the call? I saw her, but maybe she had to jump off. I was going to say maybe Carrie could get her city of Woodland Hills to pay for her to go, because she's the emergency manager of their city,
Right.
and then she and I could share a room. So I'll ask her if that would work for her. So that does it from what I had on my list. I will, I'll circle back to Vision Link. Our executive senior vice president and IT guy, Wayne Robbins. I don't see Wayne here. I'm going to ask Wayne to do the Zoom link for the general meeting and add to our website upcoming meetings to our calendar. on the website, add the Mountain West VOAD conference details to our website, and add UWEMA conference, March 22nd, 23rd at the Meridian Center to our website. And Vice President Communications, Carrie, I was going to have her give a legislative report. I know there's SB 33, which is going through that deals with getting some money to smaller communities. And I think that's on the Senate reading second calendar right now, but that's something that Director Chris Hamlet has been working on, and Carrie had been working on that with him as well. Executive Secretary Sheila, do you have anything?
No, I don't. I've got a thing with Wayne, but I'll get back with him. And then I have almost completed my hat write-up, or what I've done. I'm cleaned up the area that's in the Google Drive and those kinds of things. So it'll be easy for someone to take over what I do. I think your position, Lisa, is going to be the hardest one. You've been so active and promoted us and got us out there in the limelight. And so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, yeah, I'll get you the agenda by end of day, and we'll get,
Okay.
well, hopefully we'll get Wayne to get you the general meeting Zoom link as well.
All right.
Treasurer, David, do you want to give our balance and maybe our partners who have paid in 2023? David Cannon, are you still there?
You're muted, David.
Take off mute. So sitting at $7,074 in the bank. I have another $775 in checks that need to be deposited.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the balance you gave.
$7,074.
Thank you.
Ones that have paid, we've got Church of Scientology, Salvation Army, Team Rubicon, Utah Food Bank, Utah Idaho Southern Baptist paid last year. Sorry, they haven't paid this year. Mosaic Interfaith paid for both years, last year and this year at once. We have the United Way 211, Methodist churches, and ARRL. And then we have Department of Human Services, Division of Emergency Management, and Crisis Cleanup that have all paid. So we haven't had USERV or UTA that have, we've sent invoices to and have not paid. We still haven't heard back from Advent Community Services, from the Episcopal Diocese, from let's see. Let me double check on that one. And then Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Red Cross.
You have not heard from them, or they paid?
We have not from Red Cross or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'll send them a reminder email.
Yeah.
So Red Cross, was Southern Baptist on the not pay for this year?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
They were on
Red Cross, Southern Baptist, UTA, USERV, Adventist, Episcopal, and Latter-day Saint Church.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you all knew, but Rhonda Uber was let go from the Episcopal Diocese, and she was our liaison and contact. So I don't know if they will be participating. Just to let you know.
Okay. And it looks like I put one of these dates on the wrong one. So it was Salvation Army has paid, Team Rubicon has not. I thought I had Salvation Army on there.
And when you send, who do you send to TR when you send the invoice?
Let's see, I've got Richard Sago as the connection on this
Okay.
list.
Okay,
Just double check the one I sent and make sure that's who I sent it to. Yeah, Richard Zago was who I sent it to, so.
okay. I will send them send them a loving, gentle reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So-
Oh, go ahead.
It did make it easier this year that people could pay by credit card if they wanted to, so that's gonna help.
Yay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then, David, you and Wayne and I we keep talking about meeting to set up the PO box and we never
Yeah,
do it.
it'd be good to do before I leave so that we have,
Yes.
because right now we have Habitat listed as the mail, for all communications, this is the central address. So all communications come to us. And we need to get that.
Is there,
Leadership.
I'll send an email to you and Wayne and see if we can find a time that we can all do that.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we get this so that was what we ran into before, was that we had a central address that was for one officer, and after it moved on, when like the business entity expired, they kept sending notices to this address and nothing happened because it was getting lost. And so
Yeah.
we want to make sure that wherever it's being sent follows the leadership around. So
Okay, awesome. I will do that and we'll see if we can find a time that will work. Okay, awesome. Anything else, David? And we're so happy that Habitat canceled their meeting so David could join us this morning.
that's the staff meeting this morning. So the problem is I've gotten in such a habit of not being able to attend because the staff meetings, the last one, Ed came on, but I had forgotten to put it on my calendar because I thought I was going to be at staff meeting that morning. So,
Gotcha. All right, thanks, David. Moving on, Vice President of Region 1, Bill Tolbert. Do you have anything to report?
No, other than warmer today than it was yesterday, so that's the good news. No flooding, but a lot of discussion. We had the earthquakes in the first 2 weeks of the new year here. We had 10 different seismic events in the Bear River Valley that got everybody mobilized, and I've been getting phone calls for preparedness presentations and earthquake training and all that kind of stuff, so that it energized the folks in the valley here, which is the Lord waking us up. But that's about all that's been going on.
All right, thank you, Bill. And currently our Vice President in Region 2 is vacant. But again, we have our guest, Captain James Combs is on our call with us. And as far as Region 2, I did get a call from Gary Carter. He's from the emergency, again, because he has my contact. And he was the fellow who called me about the Sugar House fire when that happened last fall. But he called me about seeing if VOADs could help with about 14 passengers that had been dropped off at the international airport and with no destination. And so I think he had checked with Red Cross, and I let him know that that was not, in our purview, if you will. That sounded like a Salt Lake City and a Greyhound bus problem. And but anyway, just so you're aware. And then it turns out that they were homeless folks when he circled back with me later. So I don't know what state they got, sent from and just dropped off. But it sounds like Salt Lake County had stepped up with a warming shelters. This was last Monday when it was super cold. So I think that's just important that we remember what VOAD's mission is, to help folks in after disaster, and not to get pulled in to all these other social service things, I guess, if you will. And Bill, I see you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, I was gonna, maybe Ken knows about this, but I recall 2 years ago or so, maybe a hair longer. There were busloads of people being sent here from California, where California was getting rid of its homeless by buying them a bus ticket to
Yeah.
Salt Lake City, and it just overloaded totally Salt Lake County and in that area. So it may be the same kind of thing again.
All right.
They found it an inexpensive way to solve their visible homeless problem.
Yep. Yep. And now is Trevor Sperry, Vice President Region 3 on our call.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Just a couple of things. I had the neat opportunity to go with the Red Cross up to ABC4 News, and we gave a brief presentation on winter preparedness, so that was neat. That was with Ben, what's his executive, Ben Donner, executive director. And then Carrie and I were talking about possibly in June, trying to, well, I have a few exercise planned, but I would love to involve some VOAD organizations in like a functional or a full scale exercise. I know UVU has hosted the Red Cross before, and they've opened up a shelter and things like that. And I would love to involve VOAD in some sort of exercise to test their organization, and then also to get, you know, the public aware of these organizations and what we are, who we are, and what we do. And so I'm open to suggestions. We can talk about that over the next coming months, but that's something kind of in the works that I'd love to do.
That's great. Do you have a specific date in mind, Trevor?
Not a date. We were thinking around June, you know, as it's warmer and things like that.
Okay. So just June in general is kind of,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. No, I think that is.
Trevor, you might reach out to Robin Fredrickson. I can send you her email address, but she's done exercises in Tooele that have been really fabulous. So she might give you some tips on what to
Cool.
do and all that kind of stuff. So I'll send that to you.
Yeah. Maybe we could open up a shelter and cook some food for the public and allow the public to stay overnight in a shelter or something.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
And that's basically what they did. And it was a really, she's done it a couple of times, and I know Lisa attended. And so anyway, she's probably got some information that would be helpful.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, Robin is the volunteer coordinator for Tooele County, and she now lives in Idaho. But yeah, she would have a wealth of information. So yeah, that's a great idea, Sheila. Thank you.
Awesome. So correct me if I'm wrong. So we have a Mountain West VOAD conference and then also a national VOAD conference.
Yeah, national is for like the president of each
Okay.
state. Like that's what that conference, and the Mountain West would be for everyone, would be for emergency managers, our partners. It is the 12 states from Washington, Oregon to the Dakotas, Sans, California, and Texas. And we are in the process of planning that right now. And that's actually, well, I was going to region 4, 5, 6, and 7. I don't have anything specific there. Have any of you leadership on our Google Voice heard anything from any of those regions? That's how we monitor those regions, through our email and our Google Voice. And then, so speaking of the Mountain West conference, that's next on the agenda. And Trevor, we're right now in a Mountain West Planning Committee meeting on Friday afternoons. Aaron Titus, who is from Colorado Crisis Cleanup, he is the only current officer from Mountain West, had been held prior to COVID and in other states. I first attended back in 2015 when it was first held here at the Churches of Scientology building before the remodel. And So Joeva, I'm going to let you talk about that. And Trevor, if you want, you're more than welcome to be invited to our committee as we're planning it, if you would like. And Robin is on this committee. So if you need a invite link, Sheila can send that to you if you are interested.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so update on Mountain West VOAD. By the way, National VOAD is not just for presidents, it's for any member organization who's part of the national scope. So LDS charities, Catholic charities, I mean, if you go on nvoad.org, you'll see all of the members and partners on there, and they are the people that attend. It's a fabulous week. Well, it's not really a week, but it's Monday through Thursday every year, and it's just really, I can't stress it enough. I just think it's great. So that's the pitch on national. Mountain West is really focused on Mountain West. So far, our dates are arrival on April 12th, and we leave after 1 o'clock on Saturday, April 15th. So far, we've established the location, which is at the Church of Scientology. Seventh, gosh, you guys, I'm having trouble talking today. I've been drinking this shake and it's frozen and my mouth is now frozen. It's a riot. Anyway, the address, Lisa's listed the address on the agenda here, but it's 709 East South Temple. We're starting with a social, and I've been working this week on getting a couple of places that I will be presenting to the group tomorrow. One is in Trolley Square and the one's in downtown Salt Lake. I tried to get us into the McCune Mansion, if you guys are familiar with it, but they're sold out for the week, which really bummed me out because it's such a beautiful venue. Anyway, so that is not established yet. I've got a block of 50 rooms being held at the Best Western near the airport. I cannot get anything else. There's a huge volleyball tournament in that week, and every hotel is not only sky high in price, it's there, I can get a few rooms here and there. So I found 50 rooms at the Best Western. They're $119 a night. So most of our people will come in, they'll appreciate that, because the other rooms, like in the Marriott, the Sheraton, the Hiltons, anywhere else downtown or near Trolley or up by the university, start at over $250 a night. So I think this will be we'll see what the committee says, but that's kind of where we're at on that. I've been getting a lot of feedback from, as a matter of fact, I got an email this morning from Kevin King, who's in charge of Mennonite Disaster Services. I work with him at National VOAD, and one of his partners is in charge of the National VOAD Communications Committee, Jesse Huxman, which I'm part of that committee. So I get to chat with him every month. But Kevin just sent me an email back and said they are definitely going to be sending someone from MDS. And I'm going to propose to the committee tomorrow that we do something on long-term recovery, because they are the kings, literally, of long-term recovery. Those guys and the Southern Baptists and Habitat. Then we have people like Samaritan's Purse and Operation Blessing, but they're not here in this area. So I'm really excited for the MDS to come. I've invited the Coast Guard because of California. I have a very good contact, and she's a major, well, equal to a major in any other branch of the military. And I worked with her in the Bahamas. She's fabulous. Operation Barbecue has told me they're going to be here. They're a wonderful group. When I work with them, I've invited Tyson Foods, World Central Kitchen, just a side. They're not necessarily our people here in Utah, but they will be if we have a disaster. They will be here. All of those groups will come. So I just felt it was going to be really important for them to collaborate and really see who we are as part of our presentation to the rest of the United States. We don't want to compete with national VOAD by any means, but we certainly want to, you know, emphasize and strengthen our connections to our Mountain West partners. You know, Montana's got a brand new group of VOAD up there. I mean, there wasn't one person that we had before that is still there. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. I've been down at the church to do walkthroughs and work on the streaming, which by the way, we will be able to do. So tomorrow we'll go over that in our meeting and decide how and what we want to do on that. But that will afford us a lot more breadth and width on our event, because we'll have people that'll be able to stream in and watch our event if they can't be here. So I'm super excited about this, you guys. I just am so happy we're going to get this group back together, because they are just, it's just so important when you have a disaster like the ones that I've been to, mainly on the East Coast, but some in California and Oregon. It's so nice to know your partners and not have to go through that whole dance of, you know, what do we do and who are we, and, you know, are you okay? And, you know, are they skeptical? No, we're a coordinated group, and it is so fabulous. I'm excited. I bet you can't tell. Anyway, that's kind of my report on Mountain West. I don't know if you have any questions, but the registration fee right now is $75. It's going to go up. What's the date? I think it's the 31st of March, right, Sheila? Or Lisa, I'm not
Yeah,
sure the date.
that sounds right.
Yeah, so it'll go up to $100 after that, but that'll pretty much cover their snacks, their lunches, their entry, probably name badges and lanyards, stuff like that. We haven't really gone into the fine details, and then we're doing fundraising, so we're not gonna go into that too much tomorrow. But I'm working on a bunch of stuff, so that's cool. And I know Ken has given me super good names, and so yeah, that's gonna be my focus next week, is fundraising. Right now I'm trying to get the basics in, like the hotels and the meals. So there you go. That's my report.
Awesome. Yeah, we had an amazing, when I went to the 2015, and it was an amazing time. And I think with the COVID break and getting back together, it will be an amazing time. So thank you for being willing to host, Joeva, and making it happen. It's really you and Aaron that really lit the fire and are making this happen. So thank you. Much appreciated. And my question, I had my hand up. My question was, going back to national VOAD conference, you said it was partners nationally. And so Trevor is part of our executive team. And since I don't have someone to pay for me, I need VOAD to pay for me. But what I wanted to ask you, Trevor and Joeva, if Trevor were able to get his city as EM, he's an emergency manager from Spanish Fork, but he's our vice president of Region 3. So,
I think he's perfect. Yes, I think yes. Ken, what do you think?
so Trevor, do you think you could get your city to fund you to go to national?
Possibly. Where is it at?
It's in St. Louis, May 8th through the 11th.
That would be fun.
Sandy City sent me as an emergency manager back in the olden days. And so, yeah.
Well, worth a go.
Yeah.
Go to the NVOAD website, and all the details are there, Trevor. But yeah, we'd love to have you if.
Great. Yeah, I'll
Now,
look
one
into it.
thing, the hotel is showing sold out on the website, and it probably is, but I've been able, because I own a travel agency and I'm an Expedia travel agent, I can pick up some rooms there, but you'd have to be, if you're going to stay in that particular hotel, that's how I grabbed Lisa's. And if you think you're going to go, I can grab one, and we don't have to pay for it until the 4th of May. or actually till you're on the ground. I mean, I can cancel it before then, but I would really recommend if anybody, like, if Carrie's gonna go, Trevor, if you're gonna go, I can hold those rooms without you committing to payment on them until you can decide if you're gonna go, but I'd have to know. I don't want to wait until 4 May. I'd like to know sooner than that, obviously. But I can hold them as a travel agent for nothing, is what I'm saying. So if you want to go and you think it's something that you'll get approved, let me know. And I will, I'll hold on to one for you.
Sounds good. I'll let you know as soon as I can.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Joeva. And then Utah State Val, Ken Crabby.
Oh, hey, you guys are just phenomenal. I always enjoy getting on your meetings because you've just knocked it out of the park. So thank you for what you do. Couple of things. You mentioned the website. April 20th is the shakeout. We might want to add that to the website date as well. April
Sure.
20th, Utah shakeout. Yesterday, I was on the touch point call that DEM has with all emergency managers, and of course, real concern about potential flooding. And they had a special emphasis on PDAs or preliminary damage assessments. And as we get involved with any kind of response, just the critical need for documentation on volunteer hours, the activities that are done and so forth. And so as we approach, the spring, we're going to be involved probably in some way, and organizations like ourselves and VOAD need to make sure, and this is, I'm speaking to the choir here, you guys know this, but just make sure we are accurate and complete as far as tracking our response efforts. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. And then just circling back, we have, I believe you were able to secure the TSOB building for us in September for our meeting in person, and Braden Norris was going to be our speaker.
Let me double check that to make sure. What's the date again in September?
It is, oh gosh, I think it's the 9th, but let me look at my calendar really quick to make sure.
What was that building you were saying, Lisa?
It's the TSOB, the Taylorsville State Office Building.
It's where I work now, Joeva.
It's where they moved everyone from the Capitol. They moved them all out to the old American Express building.
It's the
Okay.
Taylorsville State Office building, yeah.
It's the 14th, Ken. I apologize.
September 14th, right.
Yeah.
I'll double check that, make sure we're reserved. I believe that's the case.
And I saw Braden at the state CERT meeting, and he said he would be happy to present on the, let's see this acronym, Private Sector Liaison Coordinator for the Utah Critical Infrastructure Prioritization, the UCIP program.
Right.
So,
Yeah, he'll be good.
okay, excellent.
And
So-
the time we like to do that is what time again?
We like to do that at 10.
At 10 o'clock, okay.
Yeah.
I'll double check that and I'll confirm that by tomorrow for you, okay?
Okay, perfect. And I see Carrie had to take a call, but she is back. Carrie, did you have a legislative report or anything you want to report on as Vice President of Communications?
Well, I think I've told most of you, there's a couple of bills that are out there that have an impact on emergency management. One is SB 33, which will provide funding for local municipalities in a disaster so that there's a coordination between DEM and local and a funding stream that goes with that. So I'm really excited. That's one that we've been working on for this is the 4th session that we've worked on this. And so I testified and with Chris Hamlet so that we could, and it passed out of committee with everyone's vote. And so we hope now that it can be funded and go forward. I also did one still working with Senator Harper on getting one that says that snowplows can be classified as a public safety vehicle so that so they can have accessory lighting and do some of the other things. So those are 2 that I'm working on. when talking about volunteers, there's also something out there. It's Dunnigan's bill. It mostly does with volunteer fire departments, but it's any government volunteers that that they can have a stipend and some other things. There was a lot of pushback coming up about volunteers in these types of situations, and so his will open that back up for a little bit more participation. So that's 3 that I can think of just off the top of my head.
Okay, Carrie, going back to SB 33, it says it's moved to the second Senate reading calendar. So where, what does that mean at this point?
So they had bills have to go through 3 readings. The first one is just to introduce it, and then it's sent to the committee. So they read it, it goes to the committee, then the committee sends it back to the body where it originated. And so the second reading comes in, and if there's any amendments that want to be made from the floor from other senators at that point, they can do that. All bills have to have 3 readings unless they waive the third one because there was no contention on the second one. And on the second reading, if there was no amendments or anything else, they might say, we're waiving this to the third reading. Okay, we're okay. Let's send it to the House. And then it goes through that same process of it being introduced, and then it will get second and third. That one, Jeff Burton is going to be the House floor sponsor of that one. So yeah, it's second reading. It's just waiting to be put on the calendar for which day. I haven't seen which day.
Okay.
I've asked them to let me know so that I can be there to support.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Anything else?
No, I think that if we can just get save the date for our conference, I think that'll be good. Trevor probably already told you that he's trying to help facilitate a joint, venture of training with and getting more VOAD partners. At the Utah County thing the other day, several people brought up VOAD, so I gave them the phone number and told them that we would like to have a few more training exercises. And Trevor kind of did a big ask, and we'll see where that falls. But I think we should maybe as VOAD try to help find out who has a full scale exercise each year and just make it part of our operations that we will participate as a partnership, as a state partnership in one of those trainings, so that emergency managers see us in action, not just in work. And I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud about that, opportunities to build partnerships, but also to showcase our skills.
Thank you. Thank you. Bill, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question for Carrie. Since you're close to all of those issues, is there any insights you have on the bill that was passed to take control of the groundwater, the water rights in Utah for a 1-year period? I've seen so much back and forth on that being a good thing,
Yeah.
a bad thing, rough thing. What's the take on the floor?
Right now, that's going to be an interesting thing because all groundwater is technically owned by the state. And so there are some people who are saying we're putting a moratorium on this. We're going to, and this is what I keep asking legislators, because as a local elected, they're trying to force us to have certain zoning, so much housing, and yet we're saying, where are we getting the water, right? So that's one of their tools, is to say, we're trying to capture all the groundwater so that we can show that we're going to be saving the Great Salt Lake and everything. So there's a lot of controversy around that, and it still hasn't gone anywhere yet, but it's in everybody's view. And what it would prevent then is if a municipality owns water rights, that they could just be taken, and in business, you can't just take something, but they feel that because you're a political subdivision that they could do that. And so there's some heavy issues on that.
Yeah, I was worried about the farming aspect of it because I know that'll impact, they've got money in there to reimburse farmers and ranchers for their loss of produce and livestock, et cetera, which doesn't warm my heart from a food availability standpoint, as well as a water availability standpoint. So
Right, it's like we're just gonna subsidize you for not growing crops so that we save water. And then, by the way, we're gonna take the water, which then limits our agriculture producing, you know, abilities throughout our whole state. And then we become dependent on another state for all food source. I mean, and that's just not really long-term planning for a diversity of our economy. I mean, that's one of the things that that was taken into consideration with Governor Herbert. He had a 12-step diversity, right, on all the different economic stability of our state. So if one industry went down, the whole state didn't go down. And I think that's one of the things we need to think about with water is how do we best manage that to where we're not short-sighted in where those water rights go, because once they're gone, water rights are like gold. And if you're a water broker, you are someone who just looks for people who have died and their heirs have not noticed that they have to renew their water right, and they buy them up because it's easy to do, and so then they can sell them for a lot more. And so this I'll keep an eye on this, but we need to keep going on. I don't want to hijack the meeting with water legislation, but that it is a big issue that's coming up.
Yeah, that affects us all from an emergency preparedness and response. And just when we had the bird flu and it killed all the chickens up north in the northern part of the state, and the egg prices doubled, all of a sudden you start to get a feeling for the dynamics and the unintended consequences and how we're all intertied. But
Yes,
thank you.
well, and
Keep in mind.
the poor egg farmers. So I know all those egg farmers up north, and I was talking to them the other day about that because the avian flu did impact the world. But here locally, and the prices went up, the farmers didn't get any additional money. They still get the same price for a dozen eggs that they did before the flu came. It's the other people along the distribution route that then get to make the money, not the farmers. And so they're still struggling to just get their chickens back, right? And so the same is going to happen with the farmers. If we don't help, then in preparedness, where we're all at, how do we help facilitate? Because what then becomes the crisis? Is the crisis then that there's no food, there's no water, there's the conditions are drier because of the diversion from farmland. So there's no green belt protection for wildland fires. Is there, increased flooding because the land is so dry that it doesn't, the rain that does come doesn't seep in anymore because it just will flash flood through? I mean, those are things that could impact all of us.
Thank you for watching out for us.
Trying.
Thanks, Carrie. So going back to the agenda, on the 2023 Utah VOAD meetings, Thursday, February 9th is our virtual meeting, and Anna Boynton from the state is going to be our presenter. And she is the tribal liaison, and she is also the director. Could you call her the director of Be Ready Utah, or the
She's a section manager.
section manager? Okay. So I believe she's talking on tribes, but maybe I should give her a call to see. I mean, anyway.
She's looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. And then Thursday, March the 9th is going to be a virtual meeting, and that's going to be Pat Milan with the ARRL doing a presentation on communications. And then April 12th through the 15th is our Mountain West VOAD conference. Again, I have here again, hopefully by then we'll have some names and some nominations, but maybe that's a time when we're all together that we can think and talk. And Carrie.
I was just wondering, I saw our flyer for Save the Date. I was going to be sending that out to our Region 3 probably later today, but I was wondering if you had an opportunity to send it to the EMs to see if they would send it out to their, because they send something out quite often and they might be willing to invite them.
I have sent it to Wade Matthews and asked him to send it to our Utah EMs.
He's the man.
Yeah, that's who I was hoping that you would send that to and that they would get approved to send it out. I think the more that we have talked about VOAD, it's piqued enough curiosity in, okay, now we kind of know what they are. They come in and they help, and we gave that presentation at UEMA, you did. And I think this would be another way to say you're invited. So maybe even in part of that, Joeva, I don't know, but somewhere in the notes, I thought I read one of our participants is an EM, and I thought that maybe we do it like they invited us to give a presentation. We asked them to give a presentation to us to showcase emergency managers. This is how we want to engage with you and how you could be the whole community response, right?
I like it. And we know a guy. We know a guy who's an EM.
We do.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So bring that up in our meeting tomorrow, our planning meeting tomorrow. Our
Hey,
Mountain
Carrie,
On
if you-
Friday. Yeah.
tomorrow is Friday.
Oh,
Isn't it?
Yes,
yes.
yes, it is.
I think it
There's a
is.
chance, Joeva, that I have a big conference tomorrow at the Capitol for a lot of people. And there's a chance that I might not be done in time to join the meeting. So I wanted to let you know that if I don't, I'll just have to follow up with you on anything. But
Okay, can you send me an email just with a summary of what you were thinking on the EM? Because I'm putting together now for tomorrow's meeting, some of the ideas that have come across by email of
Okay.
topics. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, Carrie, that would just be so helpful. I'm kind of slammed.
right.
But yeah, we got a really nice offer from FEMA to do a really great presentation. We've had some really awesome offers to
Right.
help. So yeah.
Well,
That
and I
would be
think that
great.
could be really helpful because we could send this to, go out through Wade Matthews, but also then maybe we get it to Chris Lindquist to send out because they'll be having their UEMA conference in March. And this might be another way to get people engaged through that avenue, but especially if we can say, so-and-so from emergency management, or even if we have two people, one from DEM and one from a municipal EM perspective, give a presentation of some sort of how do VOADs work with those who are legally responsible for the incident. Just an idea, but I'll put that in.
I think it's a great idea.
And I did send it to Chris Lindquist, and he's now past president, and Catherine McMullen is now current president. So I did send a flyer to them as well. Okay, so Mountain West VOAD Conference, April, Thursday, May, I have virtual, and right now there was nothing specific, so I have just penciled in tentative, have a just serve presentation. I know we did that a couple years ago back when I was in Region 2, and it was kind of when we were starting all the Zoom stuff, and so anyway, it's been a while. Thursday, June 8th, I am working on getting a in-person room at the Red Cross building. I'm checking with Matt Stevens on that and possibly having Red Cross be our presenter. But June, and that's why I'm looking to do it in person, because that would be our elections. And so elections would be only by our dues paid up members when we have that. So then July is summer break. Our new officers will take over for the 2023-25. August 10th, virtual to be announced. Thursday, September 14th, we have Ken's checking on that. It's for the Taylorsville State Office Building. And then October, November, virtual to be announced. And then Thursday, December 7th, in-person holiday social, again, to be announced. So that's, everything is planned up through our officer leadership's going out, and then if we can get Wayne to maybe set up at least the what he did for us, he set up these first 6 months for Zoom meetings. Maybe he could do that as well. So, Carrie.
I just was going to ask about leadership. So will some of the people, like if Wayne said, I want to stay on as IT, can we nominate him to continue, or do
Yes.
we have a
Yes.
bylaw that says you can't serve twice?
You had stepped away when we had discussed this, and
Oh, sorry.
yes, yes. Yes, I'm going to ask Wayne if he is interested in nominating, if he's interested for president and staying on as our IT guy, because that would be some great consistency.
Right. And the other thing is, do we have elections on our region the same time? Or how does that work? Because
No, you don't.
so
You
many
don't
of our
have-
regions are just replacements of the
You don't
next
have,
person
yeah,
who's
you don't
left.
have elections in the region because a year and a half ago, we changed it from a chair, secretary, vice president to vice president, secretary. So I think that's something that we do here in our executive. If you have someone to nominate for vice president, region 3 and secretary, but I think we will fill that on our executive level, if that makes sense. 'Cause
Okay,
it's no
so
longer-
they'll be filled by our executive team here.
Yes.
So what I'm saying, so we don't necessarily vote at all in our regions anymore.
Correct.
It's just as if somebody wants to, I mean, like if Trevor was going to continue to serve, then he could, or if he needed to step away, or if he ran for one of the other offices. Then-
He couldn't on the state, on the state level, an emergency manager can't serve, he could serve as secretary on the state level, but not in the president or VP role. But at a region, that's why he can as a region. So that's the difference between the state and the region.
So maybe we need to, between now and June, then find out for president who qualifies in our list, because we have a lot of people who are representing either state or municipal.
Right,
and
right.
To find out even who we can
so,
choose.
yeah, at the state level, it needs to be someone who is with a voluntary organization for president, executive vice president. What we did was we changed that chair in region 1, 2, and 3 to vice president and took out we changed it from chair, vice president, because we were having trouble having, we can barely get 2 people to fill in from the regions.
Right.
And so we did find out that on a region level, an emergency manager could serve in that VP role on that region level. But it sounds like Ken was saying that an emergency manager could serve as secretary at that state executive secretary level.
All right.
It's not that we can't change that, but that's the way it is now.
Right, right. So Carrie, yeah, just you and Trevor, if you have ideas for, region 3, someone who would serve as vice president, secretary, the Porters, Linda Porter and her husband come to mind.
Well, Trevor might want to still do it. We haven't
Yeah.
talked. I was just kind of saying, I mean, I would like Trevor to stay in that position. He's really good at it.
Yeah,
He probably wants me to find someone who could be a better secretary, but
Oh, you're doing great.
and that's all right too. But I just wanted to kind of know the process and procedure, because for
Right.
some reason, I remember when I first came on VOAD, we did vote on a region level, and I guess I had just forgotten with the change that then it no longer required a vote.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
had to be voted in as secretary. So that's why I had misspoke to Trevor that we had to
Right.
have some
And I
elections, so
I think that happened before we did the change of
it did.
making it vice president, secretary, and changing it from that chair, vice president, secretary, correct?
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to say erroneous things, and I already did to Trevor, so take that all back what I said. Let's just go with Lisa. But
Oh, good.
have we
Okay.
heard of anyone? I mean, Lisa, you've already expressed that you do not want to serve again and that you would like to, and I think we talked about having past president be in an advisory role, but do we have a nominating committee that looks for people, or do we just say, hey, who do we all think would be good
We
for
do
it?
not. That's something that I had asked at the beginning when you had gone off as well. I said,
Oh, sorry.
is it this team right here? Is it me calling a couple of people and saying, hey, you're on the nominating committee? Or do we all just start putting names in the hat and nominating people? Like I'm going to talk to Wayne and see if he would be interested in serving as president and continue as IT.
And in the past, before Lisa became president, we didn't have a separate executive meetings. We only had the general VOAD meeting. And so that was where we got together and said, hey, who do you want to be the next president?
Yeah.
So there, that's how it has been handled up until Lisa was president. We didn't have this separate meeting. So
I believe, I believe in the board minutes. You'll see that unless somebody's changed it and I haven't read the new data, I believe it states that the vice president will automatically move into the presidency unless there's a conflict or something like that, unless they can't make it or I think it, well, at least it used to be automatic, right, Ken?
Yeah, that was the case.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's in the bylaws or if that's just the way it was done. So I will have to
Yeah,
go.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was in the bylaws. You can check it out.
You don't want to scare people to never be, to say, oh, this is a 6-year gig because you're going to be 2 years as the president-elect, 2 years as president, 2 years as past president. Sometimes people get a little nervous with that idea of leadership. So, yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
you're
want to
right.
tie our hands.
No,
to
these
people
are
who
the
have a
tough guys,
passion.
Carrie. These are the
Yeah.
disaster guys, man. They can take it.
Right.
Okay,
They can do it.
Yeah, James has got, Captain James has got a question. Is there an official list of officers and the responsibilities? In our Google Doc, there is, and I can send a copy of that to you, share that with you, Captain James. And then if you go onto our utahvoad.org, our website, there's a list of all of our Utah VOAD officers there and the regions that they cover. Does that
Yeah,
answer
if
your
I
question, Captain James?
right, Bill, you had a question.
Yeah, I was going to say this is another bylaws thing because I read tons of bylaws for VOAD. Some of them say when the president or the chair can't fulfill their term for whatever reason, then the next person becomes the chair. But they then have to have an election in the following cycle to either confirm or replace the person that moved into that chair. And that's the way most of those are written. So you need to go back and look at the nuances in there.
Gotcha. And I think most of you have access to our Google Docs where all of this is. So I think with that comes to the end of our meeting. So any other questions before we go? And thank you for spending your Thursday morning with me. That was productive. That was good. And that's what's been good about having this group. It's been a good touch point to have our monthly meetings on Thursday morning. And
I
yeah.
do like that we have the executive meeting separate from the general meeting. I think it's very helpful to be able to just touch base and kind of see where we're at and be united in going forward.
Agreed.
Everybody stay warm and safe.
All right. Thank you. And have a happy Thursday, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.